Hey guys, today in this video we are going to talk about the topic how to make him realize he is losing you. So whether or not you are in a committed relationship or you maybe just be casually seeing this guy, I am going to share with you the most effective way to make him realize that he might be losing you. So let's start off with the first situation, which is if you were just seeing him and you don't necessarily live with him or you're not necessarily in a committed relationship with him. So if you're just seeing each other, just getting to know each other still maybe, a lot of your interaction is on the phone. So the best way to make him realize that he might be losing you is to use what I call the pull back method. This is a very effective and very, I want to say, classy way to make someone feel like that you might be losing interest in them. Because you don't want to play any mind games or try to make someone jealous or manipulate them emotionally. All of those things are bad karma and you don't want to be that type of a person. So this is in my opinion the best way to make him see that he might actually be losing you, and you actually don't want to necessarily do this just for a reaction. If you genuinely are at the breaking point where you actually are genuinely ready to let this guy go, if things are not really panning out the way that you had thought that they would, or maybe you're not getting commitment or you're not getting any indication that this guy wants to be serious, you actually have to have the mental space and the mental intention that yes, you will cut your losses and you will walk away if this guy doesn't start treating you differently or whatever your problem is, right? If no change happens, you actually will walk away. I really want to stress the mental space, the mental intention that you actually need before you try this method, because it's not going to work if you don't have the mental energetic power to back it up. Okay, you got to back up whatever you do with someone or whatever actions that you take. It needs to be backed up by your true authentic feelings and intentions. Okay, that's what makes actions powerful. Okay, so for the pullback method, and you are just using your phone, so you want to sort of indicate to him in a very subtle way, but gradually over time he'll realize and he'll see that you might be actually losing interest in him, okay? So the first rule is you're going to take longer with messaging him back. So when he messages you or snaps you, you are not going to snap him immediately after. Like, don't go too crazy with this and keep a text time log or something where it's like, okay, when he texts me, I'm going to wait exactly an hour before. Don't be so military about it, okay? Maybe once in a while you do respond right away, but in general, just take longer. Don't necessarily respond if you get a message on your phone immediately. Just give it a bit of time, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, and whatever the pace of your conversations were before, prior to you trying this pullback method, extend it, make it longer. So that's the first thing. The second thing is don't strike the conversations up first. Let him do it, okay? So in the morning, don't text him good morning first or whatever you guys do. Allow him to contact you first. You put yourself in the receiving position, the receiving role. You are no longer putting yourself out there. You are letting him come to you type of thing, right? So he's going to be starting the conversations through text or snap. He is going to be calling you. Do not call him. Basically, he is the one initiating the communication between you two. And the last one, and this is tricky, so you gotta really use your discretion when it comes to this, is you gotta breadcrumb him a little bit. Don't necessarily give him these long, drawn-out answers every message. Sometimes just give one-word answers like, yeah. Actually, if you don't really have anything meaningful to say anyways, it's fine to use those answers, you know, like there's nothing wrong with it. Don't feel like you're being a mean person by doing that, because this is all part of the pullback method, right? And the next thing is the conversation kind of dies on Snapchat. It's fine to leave him on red, okay? If this guy is really, really into you and really interested and wants you in his life, wants to pursue you, he will not take that personally, okay? Guys with ego problems take that kind of stuff personally. He will continue to pursue you. Now, like I said, this is tricky. Don't do this every time. It's not like he gives you this amazing answer or message and you just open it, read it, and ignore him. Like, there is a difference between being straight up rude and just when the conversation dies off, you just allow it to die off type of thing. My point is, don't try to carry a conversation with too much effort. Don't put so much effort in keeping a conversation alive. If the natural flow of it kind of just dies off, allow it to die off, okay? Just use your best judgment when it comes to that. It can be tricky, but as you know, get better with your messaging and your communication, you'll learn to kind of feel that out. Now, he will do one of two things depending on his character and also how he feels about you. So he is going to realize over the course of the next few weeks as you are pulling back that you are losing interest in him. Okay, and either if he is a really awesome guy, a great guy, and he really does take you seriously and maybe wants to get serious with you and wants to get closer and have you as a part of his life, he will pursue you and chase you more, okay? You will get more snaps, more messages, more calls. He'll want to hang out with you more. He will not back down, basically. You will not see a change in the communication. In fact, you'll probably see an increase in it because he might go into panic mode where he realizes that he might actually be losing you to someone else. Like maybe you're talking to someone else. Do not say you are. Never do that. Never try to make a guy jealous with another guy. That's, like I said, I totally don't recommend that. But he might be thinking that in his head, so he might go into panic mode to try to keep your attention. And the next thing that can happen is if he is not a very high quality guy, he could take offense to you doing this, okay? And I have had this happen to me where I was not exactly responsive on Snap, and it wasn't because I was purposely trying to initiate some kind of reaction out of him. It was just my day-to-day life. Like sometimes I just don't have time to snap back every single person that snaps me on a timely basis. And so I was kind of just casually messaging this guy on Snapchat, and he like completely freaked out, and he actually took major offense to the fact that so he would snap me and I would leave it unopened, but I would still post on my public story, and that's because I'm a YouTuber, so I want to create content on my Snapchat for you guys. And just because I ignore people on Snapchat and don't open their message because I'm not ready to respond to them properly doesn't mean that I don't like you and I'm purposely trying to ignore you and I'm purposely trying to make you mad. That's just how I Snapchat people. You might get guys that, I don't know why, but they just are so offended by this, and they will say really just negative things like, why am I wasting my time with you? Not even going to try with you anymore. Oh, I see that you ignored my snap. Wow. Just things like that, okay? Really petty things. Like, these people are immature. They can't handle delayed responses, okay? They mentally and emotionally can't handle that. So if you are dealing with a guy like this, he is too immature to date. Honestly, he's not dating material, and you have to set your sights on a much higher quality guy than that, okay? Someone who has a grip on their own emotions and reactions to things. That's who you want to be with long term, not someone like this that has a lot of growing up to do. And the second thing that might happen is if he was never really that interested in you, is when you pull back and do all these things, he won't have any response and the communication between you two will just die and none of you will be communicating with each other. Well, that is a very strong indication that he was not interested in you to begin with and you were just wasting your time with him, okay? And actually see this as a good thing because you saved yourself months, possibly years of wasting your time with a guy that never wanted to take you seriously in the first place. So this is a good thing because you can never get your time back. You can never get your youth back. You will never be this young again. Realize you saved yourself incredible value by discovering that this guy actually never wanted to date you in the first place or never wanted to take you seriously, okay? Because that will free you up to find someone that does. And that will free you up to find the love that you've been looking for all along. So realize the universe and life, have faith in it, that yes, it might be painful and it might suck to realize that there was no chemistry between you two, or at least if you thought there wasn't on his part. That initially sucks, but realize in the long run, life and the universe does these things for a reason, okay? You dodged a bullet. Now, if he chases you and goes in panic mode, he is very interested in you, okay? And at that point, he might actually even bring up, if you're hanging out with him or talking on the phone, that you've been quiet lately. Okay, that actually might come into play. And then that is a really good way to transition, is if you want maybe things to get more serious or take things to a next level. That is a great way to initiate that talk. What is going on between us? Are we going to be dating? Are we going to be exclusive? Or whatever subject it was. It's a really great way to get him to actually bring it up. because he's going to be like, well, why have you been so quiet? And you could be like, well, I've just been thinking a lot about where we are going with this. And then that is a great way to open up the communication for that conversation, and you can see how he feels about you, and more than likely it's going to be he has feelings for you, he is very interested in you, and he would be very open to taking things to a more serious level. Now, for those of you that are already in a marriage and living with somebody, you basically want to do the same thing, the pullback method, only it's not going to be over the phone. It's going to be in person, okay? So you're going to be living with them, but it's going to be the same principles. Don't initiate conversations. Don't push your energy on him. Withdraw a little bit, pull back a little bit, okay? Be alone more in the house. You know, maybe if he wants to have sex with you, pull back a little bit, maybe don't. Because if you are in the position where you want to pull back already and you're in a marriage, you need to have a discussion first before you're intimate again. You need to break ground and resolve whatever is going on between you two before you get intimate again, right? Like, sex is not that great when you guys are fighting. At least I find that it's not. I don't know, some other people might. I think there are some fiery people out there that like the angry sex, but not everybody does. So whatever you're comfortable with, but I like issues resolved and no anger and no negative emotions before I go into the bedroom, basically. So do this, and if you do this over maybe even like a 2-week period or even less, he'll notice that you're pulling back and you're withdrawing. And if he is a decent guy, okay, if your husband or your partner is a decent guy, he will ask you what's wrong. And at this point, you are not going to put blame on him, okay? So one really strong way to communicate issues between people is not you did this, you did that, you're a bad person, you. That doesn't solve anything. That's a very poor way to communicate problems. A great way to word it and frame whatever is going on is to say, this and this happened, nothing to do with him, this and this happened, and it made me feel this way. That is a great way to frame something so that you are not pushing blame and pushing nagging and all of these negative energies onto this person, because they are just going to withdraw. They're not going to want to communicate with you and solve problems if you are just literally subliminally trying to make them feel bad. Trying to make people feel bad never works. So a great way to frame it is, I felt this way because of this situation. So for instance, let's say that you had a plan to go on a date with your husband or your partner, and your husband or partner ditched you to go hang out with his friends or something, okay? Which is really rude, and he shouldn't have done that. Don't get me wrong. But if you go into this saying, you ditched me, what kind of a boyfriend are you? That's terrible. You're a terrible person. How could you do this? These kind of things, they are not going to be receptive to that, okay? The way you want to word it is, we had a date planned. I was excited for our date and to spend time together. But when you decided to cancel our plans and hang out with your friends, it made me feel unloved and disrespected, and like I was not a priority in your life. Like that, okay? That's a great way to frame it, because you're not placing blame. And he realizes that the real problem is that you felt unloved. That was the real issue. Okay, so that is a great way to communicate, because it will get to the point where he will ask you what's wrong and you will have to communicate what's wrong. So make sure you're doing it right so that you can move forward and solve these problems. If this guy is a fantastic, great guy, very empathetic and a good communicator, which is what you want in a partner, he will be very receptive to the problem and he will want to solve it with you. He will want to work with you. He will care about how you feel. He will care about making things work between you two and doing whatever he can to make the relationship work. And if he doesn't, then that's not the right guy for you. And you cannot force someone to love you the way that you want to be loved. You cannot force that. All you can do is communicate your needs. And if he doesn't want to make them a priority and meet them, then you have to cut your losses. So again, it's up to your judgment. If you guys feel like I didn't address your particular situation, please comment it down below and I will try to help you as best as I can. Add me on Instagram at lyrascotchz. And if you have any relationship questions or video requests, please message me on my Instagram, DM me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video helps you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!